In my eyes, I thought that my job was done. My employers did not see it that way, and my incentives were held back until I would agree to go back in. The job now required that I blast out a section of the passage walls that was deemed unsafe by my 2 remaining clan siblings. The mine owners assured me the site was more valuable than previously thought and insisted I finish the job. Needless to say, I felt betrayed and told the Throgs to get quirged and hire someone else. I knew for a fact no one else would take the job. It again came back to me that if I did the job, my clan would live on the surface with enough wealth that I could find another less dangerous occupation. It proved to be the leverage the mining company needed to convince me to go back in. With the help of my 2 siblings, we spent more than a month prepping the site and placing our charges. We crawled into every nook, cranny, and fissure to set explosives. We were determined to blast out enough ore and gemstones that we would never have to come back. On the day before we were set to detonate, my siblings and I were overseeing the placement on the last of the ballistic nets. In what was later described as a tragic accident, the charges somehow detonated. I awoke 3 months later from a coma and learned my siblings were crushed to death. By some strange twist of fate, my fellow miners pulled me from a pocket in the rubble 13 days after the so-called accident. I was clinging to life by the smallest of threads. While I was in a med pod, the owners of the newly opened passage went on with business as usual. The surviving females of my clan were still in the tenements of level 3, and the credits that were to make us rich enough to live on the surface were nowhere to be seen. I was eventually blamed for the deaths of my siblings and 12 other unfortunates who were near the demolition site when it exploded. An investigation into the accident was inconclusive on how the charges were detonated and hinted that it was negligence on my part. In another unrelated tragic accident, a mine cart laden with explosives was being delivered to my former employers. It somehow exploded when they were making an inspection of a new passage. All were killed, and their remains unrecoverable. An investigation into the accident was inconclusive because the investigators were killed when their transport found its way into a 600-foot-deep fissure in the mine. There were no survivors. For reasons unknown to me, I was no longer employable in the mines or the demolition business. After several months of brawling in the local drinking establishments and fornicating with every available female, my savings were about gone. My anger for my former employers made me take up fighting in the underground arenas. It gave me a way to vent my frustration. According to those who wagered on me, I was a quality prize fighter. I never lost a fight with a civilian, but had my share of beatdowns from some of the mercenaries and military hard cases that enjoyed fighting in the pits. I always thought I knew every trick that could put you on your back fast, but the veterans were trained to fight dirty. They had ways to make you regret stepping into the pit with them, which I had never seen before. Those were the kinds of lessons that you never forget. After a couple of really good ass whoopings, my matriarch convinced me a change of careers was in order. After my broken bones healed, I managed to get a job as a delivery tech. The wages were nothing compared to what I could make in the pits, but I wasn't laid up for weeks at a time either. Since I was the newest hire, I was on call around the clock. It didn't matter what time it might be, I had to make deliveries when it was necessary. I was told I could make a respectable living, but still just barely scraped by. My remaining clan members started hearing stories about the vacant housing units down on level 9. Rumors like that only make the rounds for a reason. 2 work cycles later, I found out from a friend the Zumas were on the pending eviction list for level 3. It wasn't hard to guess where we would be going if I didn't do something quick. During my next work period, I was hired to deliver a crate of ore samples to a courier who was going to the surface. After dropping off my cargo, I took notice of the recruitment posters on the walls near the lifts. All had pictures of heavily armed soldiers marching up the ramps of starships. Not only were the soldiers on the surface of Sparta, but they were also preparing to go off-world. Being somewhere other than the underground tenements of Sparta was always a dream of mine. The poster stated the starting pay for a recruit